Well, hello there everyone. It is so good to be back a little bit. I'm still on a bit of an extended break over the holidays. It's always nice to take off during this time of the year to just kind of relax, reflect, and then I also prepare for the new year and kind of what I'm going to build out for content. So I thought this could be a fun little video about the assumptions and questions that you guys have about me. So I put a post out 2 days ago asking you guys this question on the YouTube community group and then also in my Patreon Insider community, and I asked you guys, what are your assumptions about me? What are some of the questions that you have? And while I know there's a lot of us who don't like to assume, we have assumptions about certain things. So I'm really glad that you guys commented and gave me some material to work off of here. And some of them were quite funny and outrageous. We're gonna talk about my work life, what I do for a living. We're gonna talk about fear and loneliness. These were some of the questions that were coming up. Van life versus house life, social life and my family, and then also dating and relationships. Those were some of the outrageous ones. It is so laughable to me that this was even asked, but I'm gonna answer it for you. While I'm answering these questions, I'm gonna make some coffee here. I really just wanted to make this kind of like a quick chat with you guys. So the first assumption is that I work more hours than you guys realize. That is probably true, depending on how many hours you think I actually work. I do work a lot, it's my own business, so sometimes I play a lot, sometimes I work a lot. I try to balance it out, not always so great at it. The next one is, do videos get tiring? Sometimes it can, for sure. I'm trying to find my sugar here. This, by the way, I'm still on my Noom weight loss. I'm about 25 pounds down now, but I've hit a plateau. This is actually monk fruit sugar, so not real sugar. It has no glycemic index effect, which is great. So yes, sometimes it does get tiring doing the videos, depending on, you know, like if I'm traveling a lot, it's not a big deal. If I'm sitting still for a while, I have to really figure out what kind of content to build out. But overall, I love it. There are so many content creators out there now, I would think it's very difficult to come up with new content. It's my assumption that you are really struggling with that right now. Actually, that's probably an incorrect assumption. I have a ton of content actually. Where I get hung up at is when I'm sitting still. And I feel like, and I've said this to you guys before, I feel like that I have to like have this epic video about all these like cool things and cool places I'm going to, and the reality is I don't need that. You guys want to know the nitty-gritty. You want to know the day in and day out. So I've been trying to do a little bit more of that as well, so that you guys kind of get a nice balance of what this life is really like on a daily basis. I assume you may still struggle with work-life balance because it's probably easy to keep working in the van when you should enjoy nature. That is true. I sometimes don't enjoy the nature as much as I would like, but I'm still a working individual, and this life is just like as if you were in a sticks and bricks house. It's the same thing, except that you live in a van, and I still have to work because I'm not independently wealthy and I don't have enough money yet to retire. So I still have goals and stuff that I'm working towards. So yes, I still have to work. I try to kind of set a 9 to 5, if you will, type of hour system. It's not really 9 to 5. Gotta turn on this inverter. You know, like I said before, I play a lot, I work a lot, but I'm trying to build something here. And this business I really love. So to me, it doesn't feel like work all the time. And it doesn't feel like a vacation all the time either. It just feels like this beautiful thing that I'm creating, and I love to do the videos for you guys. I love to do the blog posts for you guys and the content, so you get to see things that maybe you wouldn't see if you're not able to travel, or if you're looking to do this kind of a lifestyle. So I really enjoy that and bringing that information to you guys. It's a balancing act sometimes. Why are you only doing one video a week? We really miss your videos of your travels and what you explore with Lily. If you've been on my channel long enough, you know that I've kind of played around with the schedule. I used to do only one a week, and then I went to daily videos the beginning of last year, beginning of 2021, and that was insane, guys. Absolutely insane. And I lasted for all of 4 months doing that. It just wasn't something that I could maintain and still do the things that I love and build good content. I just didn't have a good work-life balance. So while it was fun traveling and doing all that, it just wasn't sustainable for me in the way that I really want to live my life. And then I was putting out a video after that. I was like, well, I can do one every 3 days. But what I found with that is you guys didn't really like that because you didn't really know when my videos were coming out. And to be honest, it was still not a good work-life balance for me. So I ended up going back to one a week. And hopefully that's good enough. I'm also slowing down my travels, so it kind of works with me slowing down everything and putting out one video a week. I love this coffee. This is, by the way, you guys have asked me what coffee I use. I go between this brand, Ely, it's an Italian espresso brand, and then a Cuban coffee. I would assume that YouTube as a primary means of income is hit or miss and needs a bit of luck. To make it as a means of income is hard and time consuming. I don't consider it luck. I think that if you're passionate about something and you want to put something out there, then you just go for it. Now, it does take time. I would say predominantly YouTube is not an overnight success situation. We work hard at it for sure, but consistency is key. How would your van life be different if you needed to create content to live? Oh, that's a good one. I probably wouldn't have traveled as hard as I've done, especially this last year. But I had an agenda on the East Coast, so I don't know. I think it would be different from the aspect that I would just slow down more, probably. You know, it's a little bit harder for me when I'm around like friends and family and stuff because I don't always want the camera in their face. That's a balancing act in and of itself too, because there are times when I want to be around friends, but I need to build content, and as long as they're okay with me, you know, having the camera out, that's fine. But that did not froth up like I thought it would. You know, I want them to be comfortable and not, you know, think that there's always a camera in their face. The assumption is sometimes you get scared, sometimes you get lonely. Yeah, that's true. I do get scared sometimes. I don't have this overwhelming fear like I did when I first started, but I always have like a little bit of low level anxiety when I go to a new place. I think just because it's brand new to me, and what am I gonna encounter, and is it gonna be what I really wanted? Can I stay there for a while? Is there gonna be creeper weird people around? You know, is it gonna be noisy where I can't work? Is the cell connection gonna be good? Overall, I don't think I get scared very much. And then as far as loneliness, yeah, I get lonely. Sometimes I do. This is a new milk that I just used, that oat milk, and it did not froth up at all. And it says extra creamy on it. I don't know what happened. I usually use soy milk, but I thought I'd try something new. Then when and how did you learn you were an empath? Let's just say like I felt that I was always different growing up, for sure. I thought that I didn't know what it was though. I just knew that I was more sensitive to certain things, but I didn't really know why. I didn't have a definition for it. I just knew that I was different. And a lot of times, you know, friends and some family, it was made to be a bad thing. And so I grew up thinking being sensitive was horrible and that I needed to fix it somehow. And it wasn't until I was, I don't know, maybe in my late 30s that I started learning more about being an empath. Let's call it 10 years ago. And then I just started learning a lot more after that. But now that I know what it is, I realize that it's completely fine to be an empath and to be sensitive and have these certain traits that come with being an empath. If you want to know more about that, I actually have a video that I talked about loneliness that talks more about empath, and that's linked right up here. All right. These are all so good. I've never heard Lily bark and wonder if she barks if a stranger comes too close to the van. Absolutely, she does. If you see some of my videos where I'm pulling up to like a guard booth where I'm going into a national park or an ag check in California, something like that, military checkpoints when I was in Mexico. I'll roll down the window, and as soon as I roll the window down, Lily starts to bark. She just knows that someone's going to be there, and she starts to bark. So yes, she does. Whenever anybody comes up to the van or she hears a noise outside, she barks. I just don't always show you guys that because, well, nobody really wants to hear the dog barking that much. There's another assumption: you sleep more than you might in a house. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder where that came from. Oh, that coffee is so good. I do not actually. I actually sleep less than I did when I was in a house. The reason being, I'm gonna actually take these off because they keep falling down my nose. So, of course the lawn people are out here right now. It always happens. Hopefully you guys can't hear that too much. All right. Back to our regularly scheduled program. This is what happens sometimes when you turn the camera on. I swear, like, all the noise starts, the airplanes, the helicopters, the lawnmowers, everything. This is part of van life. Yes, or RV life, or whatever you're doing. When you're out in public, these things happen. So I sleep more in a house than I do in a van because it's a little bit more quiet, more solitude in there, whereas the van, you're one with the weather. I have to sometimes wake up with the weather. I have to wake up with the sun. The other assumption is, let's see, you are happy to escape the reality of a house. I think I was definitely in the beginning. And then as time has gone on, I actually crave having a base home again. And I think that's just for a little bit more stability, a place to go back to when I just feel like sitting still for a while. And the base home would be a tiny home. It wouldn't be anything like what I had before, which was about 1,800 square feet. So I don't crave that. I like tiny. Van life must have been difficult to navigate in the beginning of the pandemic. Yeah, it was for sure. Well, part of it is because, like, I didn't watch the news typically, and then I had to start watching the news a lot because things were changing, like, literally by the hour during the height of the pandemic, and things were shutting down. They were talking about shutting down BLM land, National Forest land, even rest areas, RV parks were shutting down. So we weren't sure what to do. I actually had a client at the time who said that I could come stay on his land up in Idaho for as long as I wanted to, but the problem was it was in the middle of the winter time, so it was too cold. Palm Desert, California was where I was at for a couple of months until it got too hot, and then I left there and went to Colorado. I don't know, you just roll with it and you figure things out. So it was a little bit difficult in the beginning. I've heard you talk about coming off the road. My assumption is that you're getting closer to making that leap to cutting down van life to part-time. I have no desire to go part-time, actually. As I was saying before, I'll probably get a base home, but I'll still travel quite a bit, for sure. I assume that you have a million stories about life on the road that we haven't heard in videos and that you'd be a ton of fun around the campfire. Well, I don't know about being a ton of fun, but yeah, I'm sure there's a ton of stories I haven't shared with you guys. I don't share everything on here, partly because some of it's just not relevant. Of course, I don't share every single aspect of my personal life. This is kind of related to that one too. It says, the only thing that I assume about you is that you are so much more to the story than what we see. Yeah, we all have different layers, right? For sure. Do you worry that if and when you come off the road, you'll have a hard time readjusting to living in a sticks and bricks home? That's a good question. I haven't really thought about it. I mean, I know, like, sometimes when I've stayed in a hotel, it just gets old sometimes for me, just staying in that one part. But I think it's because, like, I can't really get outside and relax, you know, very much, like in a lawn chair or whatever, or read. But like when I was at my friend's house in the Catskills Mountains, Mark and Grant, I stayed in their home for like a month and I loved it. I mean, there's times where I had itchy feet and I wanted to get out and go somewhere. But I think that's where the balance comes in. But I think I would be fine. I think it's really figuring out what it is that makes you happy and incorporate those things. Like, it's almost like a little bit of van life, right? Except it's just not on wheels. But it allows me to still enjoy all of the things that I really love about van life, which is living outdoors more and living more of a minimalist life. A lot of things that we take for granted are such a chore when living a minimalist lifestyle, even more so when living in such a cramped space that has been taken out, set up, used, cleaned, and then packed away only to be done all over again. I assume you must love doing all that. No, I don't actually. A lot of times when I'm at a campground, depending on how long I'm staying, I put out the minimum amount of things so I don't have to put it all back up. But I'm in a van. It's not like I'm bringing out a ton of stuff anyways. But no, I don't really like that. I like to stay in places a little bit longer. So like right now I'm urban camping in the San Diego area, and it's one of the things where I have to move every single day. So I don't really like it, but you get used to it. I assume you work harder to carry on daily living in a van than in a sticks and bricks that has power, water, waste disposal readily and easily available. How hard is sourcing free water and having to always be rationing your water usage? Yeah. Let's see, is it harder than sticks and bricks? I mean, well, you don't have to source all of that in a sticks and bricks for sure, but there's other things that you have to do. You have to mow a lawn, you have to weed, you have to keep up a garden, you have to maintain the house just like you would a van. So there's similar things that aren't exactly the same, but they're similar things that you would have to do. So I don't know, I don't see it as a bad thing. It was something that I had to get accustomed to in the beginning for sure, because I didn't know how to do it. As far as sourcing, no, I've been doing this for almost 5 years completely now, and so I just have figured out like all the places to go to and the apps and stuff to use. So I don't find it to be hard, actually. I will give you this little tip. At the end of the day, if you can't find a place to get water, just find a campground and call them and ask them, hey, can I come in and get some water and dump my tanks? And they'll just charge you a fee for it and you'll have what you need. So not a big deal. You just have to pay for it. Has COVID made it harder to meet new friends that are nomads? Do you feel the divide among nomads like there is everywhere else? I would say it's probably been a little bit harder, and also because I've set stronger boundaries maybe than some other people. Some people are comfortable hanging out in big groups where I'm just not. I like to have smaller groups. So part of that's also the introvert empath in me, where I like to hang out in a smaller group, a smaller setting, and I feel more comfortable that way. But yeah, I've limited my exposure for sure. As far as the divide amongst nomads, I haven't really seen that. No, I mean, I think there probably was in the beginning, but that's like with everybody about, you know, your own ideas about it and how you want to handle it. But I didn't really surround myself with people who were doing that or fighting about it. Like I said, I put my boundaries down pretty strongly and surround myself with people who are open and probably believe a little bit more along the lines that I do if I'm going to be around them very much, and that are inclusive. And so because of that, I haven't really felt like that there was a problem. So, and by the way, I know people are asking me these questions about pandemic and COVID and all of that. If you can, please, if you're new to my channel, you don't know this, I don't like to talk about the subject necessarily, meaning I don't like there to be a political war in the comments about it, you know, telling me this or that about what I should or shouldn't do. And because it turns political, and that's not what my channel is about. You can go to Facebook if you want to do that, but I really police my comments. So if you make any comments about that are horrible or bad like that, then I'm going to delete them. So sorry if you feel that that's horrible, but I like to keep this community very positive and a safe place for people to come to where they do not have to worry about all of that. So that's all I'm gonna say. Next question, what do you van lifers do for health insurance? I'm self-employed, so I have to purchase my own, or if you already work for an employer, so you would have insurance through them, and hopefully it's a nationwide program. If it's not nationwide, then you would have to go back to the state that you're domiciled in or registered as a resident in and get all of your medical done there. What do you do in regards to your medical of you and Lily? Do you have a primary doctor in a certain state and return if you're sick, Zoom or phone call appointments? But I don't get sick, so it's very rare. And I do have telehealth, so I'll use telehealth. I had like a thing with my eye last year where I had a little like cyst on my eye, and not that I really felt like they could do too much, but I just wanted to kind of probably alleviate my fears a little bit about it, and got on with a telehealth doctor. But I have a nationwide healthcare plan, so I just make sure that, you know, go to a doctor quickly if I need to. There's always the emergency room if it's something serious. Have you ever come across illegal border crossers or any meth labs in the desert? Those big square RVs always remind me of Breaking Bad. I love that show. No, I haven't actually. No. I haven't seen, I mean, I've seen RVs that you would, you know, kind of think about Breaking Bad when you look at them, but otherwise, no, I haven't come across any. That was probably one thing I was a little bit nervous about when I first came out here, like especially to the Southwest, being so close to the Mexican border, because you hear all these stories, but guys, it's pretty safe, you know? You just use your gut instinct, and, you know, if you don't want to be alone, you hang out with other people and camp with them, but otherwise, I haven't come across anything like that. Maybe I've been lucky, but I have a lot of nomad friends, and I would say that they haven't really come across those things too much either, or if at all. Do you plan months in advance where you're camping, and do you book the occasional campground ahead of time, or just wing it? I wing everything pretty much. The only time I ever really scheduled a campground was when I went to Key West, and that's because I had to. It's one of those places where you had to book something, you know, in advance, because the boondocking there is a little bit hard, and I didn't want to get the knock on the door, and so I had to book that one in advance. In season 1 or 2, you mentioned how your faith in humanity was being restored as total strangers were helpful and friendly. Question, have the people you met along the way since then continued to restore that faith, or is that going the other way? Overarching, yeah, that's still predominantly the truth, with the things that have happened in the last couple of years from a political standpoint and from the pandemic. I think it's been a little bit more difficult because we've all seen this kind of division in our country, and so yeah, you kind of run across some people like that occasionally, but for the most part, I wouldn't say that that's the overarching theme. I think that people still are very helpful and help out all the time, so yeah, I would still say that my faith in humanity was absolutely renewed, and it's not like what you always see on the news, which is completely fear-based and makes us think that this world is bad and horrible. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's just really not. You know, there are bad things that happen, don't get me wrong. There are. But overall, most people are pretty good. That's my take on it anyways. Where are you in your thought process of investing in a property tiny home to base out of? I'm nowhere near ready to do it yet. Probably next year. I'm still looking, but I haven't. You know what it is? The more places I go to and the more options that I come across, the less I'm able to decide on anything. Do you ever get tired of all the driving around? I do sometimes, yeah. You know, this last year when I was going to the East Coast, or when I drove, you know, 7,500 miles round trip to Alaska in 2 months, whew, that was a long drive. So yeah, I get tired of that kind of driving. I like to slow it down, and I am slowing it down a little bit more. I think I say that all the time though. Every year I say it, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. Because then you know what happens is that, like last year, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to go to the East Coast. Like, what a fun trip that would be. And then all the slowing down stuff goes out the window, and I have a limited amount of time because it starts to get cold on the East Coast and the Northeast, and so you have a limited amount of time to do all the things that you want to do. Are you as happy as you portray to be living in a van? Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty transparent with you guys. While I may not show every little thing that happens, I just can't, right? In my life here, but I give you guys the pros, the cons, the good, the bad. So yes, I'm actually very happy doing what I do. Do I have low moments? Yes. Do I have anxiety sometimes? Yes. I had that in a sticks and bricks house too. But overall, I'm pretty darn happy. Do you predominantly keep in the West Coast? And if so, why? Yes. I mean, I say that. I've been to Alaska, I've been to the East Coast twice. So winter times, usually, yes, I'm in the Southwest because the weather is warmer and there's no bugs here. It's just easy. Oh, and there's free land everywhere. So that makes it a lot easier to be on the West Coast than the East Coast, for sure. The assumption is you have many more friends than you share on YouTube. Yes, that would be true. I don't put all my friends and family on YouTube. I respect their wishes. Some people don't mind, some people do, and I respect whatever their decision is with that. And I also, you know, when I'm with those people, I like to be really present with them, so I don't always show, you know, my interactions with them. Do you ever travel with and meet up with other van lifers like Lollapalooza or Quartzsite, Arizona? Yes, I do. I probably don't do the big groups like I used to with the Escapers group. that I would get together with when they had events. Like they have convergences and stuff like that. But ever since, you know, the last 2 years has happened, I haven't really gotten into very many big groups that way. I've been traveling with smaller groups or individuals, meeting up with them, things like that. All right, on to the favorite one that everybody loves to talk about is dating and relationships. Assumption is a companion or a date would be welcome. That would be true. I have tried dating on the road. I've tried dating people who are stationary, and so far nothing's worked. So I don't know. I don't know what to say about that, but it just hasn't worked. It is harder because you're on the road and you really have to find someone who has the same desires that you do to travel, and it makes it quite hard sometimes. And then the last one, this one is, it's so laughable to me. It is so laughable to me that this was even asked, but I'm gonna answer it for you. This one is, I assume you and Eric from Nomadic Fanatic, did the dirty. No, we did not. We're just friends. It's another thing that cracks me up is anytime I show a man on my channel, the assumption is that I'm dating him, and that is just not the truth. In fact, most of the time, if you do not see a man on here, it probably means I'm hiding him somewhere and I'm dating somebody and I'm not putting him on the channel. So when I first started dating the person that I dated last year, the very first time we started dating, I didn't put him on the channel at all for a long time. So yeah, they're not gonna be on the channel. But no, we didn't do that. We're just friends. You know, women and men can be just friends. So that's it, guys. I so appreciate you guys submitting your assumptions and your questions. That was fun. I hope you enjoyed it. And next week we'll be back to a more regularly scheduled type of a vlog, you know, traveling kind of a thing. But anyways, just wanted to touch base with you guys and thought this would be a fun little video to help answer your questions and assumptions. So, all right, guys, I'll see you in the next video and have a happy new year.